Grade 10, Chapter 4, from the Diary of Anne Frank. Author is Anne Frank, as it is an extract from her diary, The Diary of a Young Girl. This extract is adapted with slight changes, so The Diary of a Young Girl is with slight adaptation. In this story, Anne talks about being lonely and having no one to talk to, despite being surrounded by family and around 30 people whom she called her friends. Anne Liz Mary, that is, Anne Frank, was born on June 12, 1929. She was a German but born Jewish, and she has written this diary when she was in hiding with her family and four friends in Amsterdam during the German occupation of the Netherlands in World War II. Let us read the story. Here, Anne was feeling lonely when she was living in the confinement, and so she decided to write a diary. As she takes the decision of writing her feelings in a diary, it was at first unusual for her to write and express her thoughts and feelings. She had to do so because she was looking for a true friend. This is how she named her diary Kitty. And unlike other people, she was not going to mention just facts in the diary, but she started writing about her background to make it very easier for the readers to understand about her and her life. Her family had moved to Amsterdam after the Nazis gained power in Germany, but were trapped when the Nazi occupation extended into Netherlands. As persecutions against the Jewish population increased, the family went into hiding in July 1942 in hidden rooms in her father Otto Frank's office building. But after 2 years in hiding, the group was betrayed and transported to the concentration camp system where Anne died of typhus in the Bergen-Belsen within days of her sister Margot Frank. So this is how she had a very short time to enjoy her life. And during that short period of time, whatever she had experienced, whatever she had thought about, and whatever she had been feeling, she had jotted down in her diary Kitty. Her father, Otto, the only survivor of the group, returned to Amsterdam after the war ended to find that her diary had been saved. But when he found the diary, he was very happy to read about the experiences of Anne's life. Convinced that it was a unique record, he took action to have it published in English under the name The Diary of a Young Girl. And this is the time, being in the hiding, she started writing the diary. It was eventually translated from its original Dutch into many languages and became one of the world's most widely read books. So this is how we got to know. How did Otto Frank got to know about it? Otto Frank got to know about it when she died. That she had penned down something like this in the diary, but he had gifted the diary to his daughter, so he was happy and excited to read about her daughter when she had passed away. Described as the work of a mature and insightful mind, the diary provides an intimate examination of daily life under Nazi occupation. Anne Frank has become one of the most renowned and discussed of the Holocaust victims. Okay, she was only one who had been in confinement, yet she was able to express herself freely. And she was supposed to be a renowned personality, being a Holocaust victim. Since no one would understand a word of her story, she thought to plunge right into her past and draw a brief character sketch of herself. And later on, she also elaborated about her life and her family members. She disliked doing so, but then she thought to herself that what if somebody else would read her diary, whether they would be able to understand her and her lifestyle or not. So, this made her decide that she would definitely share something about her background in the diary. I started right away at the Montessori Nursery School. I stayed there until I was 6, at which time I started in the first form. In the sixth form, my teacher was Mrs. Cuperus, the headmaster and the headmistresses, those who used to teach her. They were very much kind and generous towards her, and they knew that she was extremely talented. At the end of the year, we were both in tears as we said a heartbreaking farewell. When Mrs. Cuperus, who was the headmistress then, was giving the farewell to Anne Frank when she was promoted to the higher grades. She was upset and her heart broke down for her and she bid her farewell. In the summer of 1941, Grandma fell ill. Her, grand, her grandmother, who was very much dear to her, fell ill in 1941 and she had to undergo an operation. So, on the day of Anne's birthday, was not celebrated with just enjoy. Grandma died in January 1942, she says. No one knows how often I think of her and still love her. She is pouring her heart for her grandmother in the diary, and she feels that nobody knew how much I loved her. This birthday celebration in 1942 was intended to make up for the other, and Grandma's candles was lit along with the rest. So, apart from other candles, she had also lit a candle for her grandmother to show her love for her. The four of us are still doing well, and that brings me to the present date of Jen. Now, this was a genuine note made by her on June 20th, 1942, where she is jotting down that how they were left in confinement and only four of them were there and they were doing good, and this was just a solemn dedication of her diary that she feels had made her feel better during that period of time. I get along pretty well with all my teachers, she states. There are nine of them, seven men and two women. So when she was in the school, at that time she had jotted down that she used to mingle well with her teachers. And what she could recollect at that time was about an incident that she had experienced and that was still alive in her memories. That was with Mr. Kissing. Mr. Kissing, the old fogey who teaches math, was annoyed with me for ages because I talked so much. After several warnings, he assigned me extra work, and this was the task of writing an essay on the subject a chatterbox. A chatterbox, what can you write about that? He said, and I decided to jot down the title in my notebook, tucked it in my bag, and tried to keep quiet. At first, she thought that Mr. Kissing was annoyed with her talkative behavior, but later on, when he assigned her an essay on the topic, a chatterbox, she jotted down the topic and kept quiet for a while. She proceeded to talk to him and to find out what was the task for the next day. When she jotted down the essay on Chatterbox, a Chatterbox was an essay that she had penned down herself. But the next day, when she submitted it, she was assigned another essay. And the topic this time was an incorrigible chatterbox. Why did it happen so? I proceeded to talk my way through the next lesson. She had a word with her classmate in the next session as well, and Mr. Kissin did not like it. So he assigned her the other task, that was to write an essay on the topic incorrigible chatterbox. I handed it in, and Mr. Kissin had nothing to complain about for two whole lessons. However, during the third lesson, he did finally had enough. And Frank, as punishment for talking in class, write an essay entitled Quack Quack Quack, said Mistress Chatterbox. Okay, he had enough to complain about, but Anne did not stop talking in the class. So, as a punishment, he assigned her the third title and the topic that was entitled to be given to her as an essay she had to write on. Quack, 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 said Mistress Chatterbox. The class roared, and I had to laugh too. Everybody started laughing when the teacher assigned her such a topic to write, and she also started laughing along with them. She was extremely exhausted to write about something like chatterboxes, but then it was time to do something different, she thought. My friend Seem, who is good at poetry, offered to help me write the essay from beginning to end in verse, and I jumped for joy. Okay, her friend Sen thought to help her, and she said that she would write for her, and by the time she can jot down a poetry. I finished my poem, and it was beautiful. It was about a mother duck and a father swan with three baby ducklings who were bitten to death by the father because they quacked too much. Luckily, Mr. Kissing took the joke the right way. Okay. The next day, when Mr. Kissing was reading the poetry in the class, he took it in the right way. He did not feel bad about what she had written. He read the poem to the class, adding to his own comments and to several other classes as well. Since then, I have been allowed to talk and haven't been assigned any extra homework, she says. On the contrary, Mr. Kissing's always making jokes these days. Okay, so here she states that how happy her teacher was, and after that day, she never got any assignment as punishment for being talkative in the classroom. But on the contrary, Mr. Kissing took her jokes very lightly, and even he was very lenient towards her, and he also allowed her to talk in the class. So this is how she shared her experiences in the diary. It was the time where she was living in isolation, and as she was away from the world, she could not think about anything else other than what she had done, what was so very pleasant in her life, and she had poured her heart in the diary by writing about herself, her family, and her teachers. She thinks that she is able to interact with them in the right way. That is, she wanted the readers to know everything about her. And this is how paper has more patience than people, she thought.